time of the night where we're starting to wind down, and gonna lose our island voice for right now. Gonna tell you a story involving a mate, a captain, and a wrecker, and a really honest guy. So there was a mate named Sam McWilliams. So Sam McWilliams, basically he was out here during it was hurricane season a while ago, and this was what was it, 10 years? There's fire on me. Alright. Just gonna burn. Alright, anyway. So, Sam McWilliams was out here about 10 years ago. Alright, I'm going to tell you one story to tell you another story. So, Sam was out here, hurricane season. Scott, our boss, said, "Hey buddy, I need somebody to go out to the island, make sure everything's alright, just stay out here a couple nights." Sam was like, "Sure man, I love the island, I'll be out here." So he goes out there, sleeping in his tent. Now, this was back in the day when we had docks going out, like I explained to you before. We had docks coming out, all this used to be mangroves. If you look in the slideshow room, we have a picture of it. Anyway, so Sam was in one of the campsites in his tent, checked out everything was fine, about to go to sleep, and he started hearing some rustling. And he was just like, man, it must be a key here, I'm not going to worry about it. Anyway, like, still rustling starts on again, and he's like, alright, so he pokes his head out of the tent, doesn't see anything, and he's like, alright, maybe it was just a key deer, coon, something like that. Not really worried about it. Zips his tent up, he's like getting all curled up, and here's something kind of like bump the dock, and kind of startles him and everything, and he starts hearing this thud. It's like a doom, 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 and he was like, wow, that's somebody walking on the dock. Maybe somebody's here. Opens up his, opens up his tent and everything. Goes out, looks at the dock. Nobody's there. Goes back in his tent. And this happens again. Happens actually 3 times. And still didn't see anybody. And he's sitting in his tent. By this point, he's curled up in the back of his tent and he has his fillet knife out. He's just kind of sitting there, waiting because he's freaked out of his mind. Here's the and decides to not open his tent this time. He's like, I'm just gonna let it go. He's like, somebody's messing with me. Like, I'm not gonna like, I don't know, I guess give him the pleasure of scaring me like this. So, sitting in the back of his tent, still freaked out of his mind, and his tent fly opens up. It just opens up on its own, and there's an old man in a yellow rain slicker pokes his head in, and like gives him kind of a thumbs up, and like Sam's freaking out because he saw this old guy, and tent zips back down, and Sam runs over, opens up his tent, and nobody's there. And so he's thinking to himself, I just saw a ghost. And so he keeps this to himself for a while, and he was down at the local McDonald's down in Key West talking to a captain of his, and he just decided, saying, hey, they're having their coffee, and he said, basically, he blabbed the whole story. He was like, it's been eating at me for about a month now. He's like, told the whole story. Now, an old man, an old salty captain, down, a couple, we'll say a couple rows of, booths and everything, overheard this conversation, and he said, I know who that was. And, Sam's ear perked up, and he was like, well, who do you think it is, old man? And he was like, I'll tell you who it is. Now, this is a story that the old man, salty dog at McDonald's, told Sam. So I'm going to tell you this now. So, old man sits down with Sam and he says, that was William Fritzwater. And he was like, well, who's Fritzwater? Who's William Fritzwater? He was like, he's an old man that used to come out to Munson Island and light a fire for the wreckers. Not for the wreckers, for the ships out at sea, so they wouldn't wreck on our rocks right out here. And he was like, cool. And so, the guy continues to tell his story. He said, alright, so William Fritzwater used to row his boat out here every day, wake up in the morning, kiss his wife goodbye. He'd come out here and light a big bonfire. Unlike the one we have here, but a gigantic bonfire. And he would do that because ships out here could wreck on these reefs out here. And he wanted to light the way. Basically, this was a warning saying, there's a reef out there, don't come this way. Now, back in the day, and this was like, what was it, 1600s, well, no, yeah, 1600s, like 16th century, there you go. 1600s or so. This was back when Key West was thriving. Actually 1700s, sorry. Thriving down here. And the wreckers were a really big thing. So there was a guy by the name of Ben Davis, and he was a real ugly guy. Like, not physically, he was just a mean person. Ben Davis was a wrecker, and he knew Fritzwater would come out here and light that fire. And he also knew that there was this big Spanish ship coming in a couple of weeks, and he wanted Fritzwater not to light that fire. So he meets Fritzwater at the local McDonald's, and down in Key West, down that way somewhere, like back in the day, local McDonald's, and they were having their coffee. And he walks up, Ben Davis walks up to Fritzwater, and he was like, Fritzwater, I would pay for all your coffee at this McDonald's, and if you don't light that fire. And Fritzwater says, no. It's like, there's nothing you could do, Ben, that would, make me not light that fire. People depend on me. He was like, I don't want anybody to get hurt. And he was like, alright. Like, Ben laid everything out for him. Said, Spanish ship's coming in, it's got gold, it's got spices. He was looking to make a ton of money. And so, he was like, I will give you 25% of what I would make on that if you don't light that fire. And Fritzwater was like, no. It's like, I can't do it, Ben. Sorry. He was like, well, I will pay your tab for all this coffee, and coffee for the rest of the year, give you 35%. And Fritzwater was like, no, I still can't do it. Can't do it. He was like, alright. Ben Davis said, final offer, I will give you 50%. He said, that's more than my captains are going to make for this ship to wreck. Fritzwater said, no. He was like, Ben, there's absolutely nothing that you could do. He was like, I don't want anybody to get hurt. Because he knew Ben Davis's reputation. And Ben Davis said, fine. He was like, let him go about his business. He finished his coffee at that McDonald's. Said good day. Fritzwater was a nice guy. He just said, see you later, Ben. So, anyway, 2 days go by, and it's about a day before that ship's about to arrive. And Fritzwater's out here, rowing his boat. Wakes up, kisses his wife goodbye, rows his boat out here to light that fire at night, and building up the fire and everything. And Ben Davis jumps out of the bushes behind him, slits his throat from ear to ear, kills Fritzwater, because he wanted that money so much. So the next day, that fire wasn't lit. The Spanish ship crashed right out there. Ben Davis got all the money, got all the gold, all the spices, didn't save a soul on that ship, let them die. And basically, people in the Keys, we always say we're real laid back. You can kind of tell that from us, but people in the Keys, they're laid back, but they're not stupid. They noticed that Fritzwater wasn't around anymore, and they also noticed that that shipwreck happened right out there. And they kind of put two and two together and realized that Ben Davis had killed Fritzwater. He didn't show up. His wife was concerned. They couldn't find him anywhere, and Ben Davis had all his money. And so, anyway, he tried to sell all these things. What's good is having all these goods if you can't get rid of them, because that's how he made his money. And everyone down here actually refused his services because Fritzwater helped out so many people through the years. He helped out all the people in the community. And so Ben Davis actually couldn't sell anything. Word spread all the way up towards Miami area, Tampa area, all up through Florida. And he couldn't get rid of anything. Actually, what happened, Fritzwater, yeah, dead. Ben Davis actually tried to take his goods all the way up to New York Harbor, up that way, and he actually crashed on a reef on the way up, and wreckers actually took everything from him, and he ended up dying, not selling a soul, of anything that was going on. So, all the goods and stuff like that. So, Ben Davis ended up dying, lonely old man, with nothing to show for himself except a bad name. Fritzwater, on the other hand, still remembered around here. And so that old man sitting at the local McDonald's drinking his coffee with Sam and the other captain, I think it was Marshall Rufo, they were sitting there, and this old man explains this story, and he said, so you see, and Sam, again it's Sam, so he was kind of oblivious still, and he was like, no, and he said, the ghost is the ghost of Henry Fritzwater, William Fritzwater. It was Henry Fritzwater, wasn't it? Henry Fritzwater. Told the whole story. Henry Fritzwater is his name. Anyway, Henry Fritzwater is the ghost that haunts Munson Island. And the old man said that thumbs up, that nod of approval, was saying that Boy Scouts are doing something good out here. And so we always tell this story to kind of give your hopes up. If you see, William Fritzwater, Henry Fritzwater, you're saying William, Henry Fritzwater roaming around or whatever, he'll probably give you a thumbs up, you know, a nod or anything like that. Don't freak out, but you know, just know that you're doing something good. So that's our ghost story for the night. Yay.